See the 33rd question. The scourge of terrorism is a grave challenge to national security. Okay. What solutions do you suggest to curb this growing menace? What are the major sources of terrorist funding? 33rd is a subset of 32nd. The question of 33 is a subset question of 32nd. In fact, 32nd question was much wider, much bigger question. 33rd is a very, very simple question. Just try it. Yeah. Now someone explain me the 33rd answer. Now that you have seen the 32nd question and the answer for it, anyone take up the 33rd and answer? The scourge of terrorism is a grave challenge to the national security. What solutions do you suggest to curb this growing menace? What are the major sources of terrorist funding? Then you have to obviously give the solution. They are asking you the solution, sources of terrorist funding, and then finally the conclusion. Yes, Rajani, the structure is fine. Tell me what are the points you will be writing. Anyone can volunteer. Who wants to volunteer?
Sir, am I audible?
Okay, Suman, tell me.
Yes, sir. Intro, just to make it look a little different, but still sound relevant. I would write the intro like this. The country's experience of multiple bomb blasts and irreparable collateral damage, along with loss of precious lives of innocent civilians, proves that this is a challenge which cannot be ignored anymore. This would be intro, sir. And embody solutions to curb this menace. I'll divide the page into two parts. One is security measures, other is developmental measures. Under security measures, first comes the effective intelligence gathering. Next, interoperability between various security agencies, combating the threat with state-of-the-art weapons, and choking the funding of terrorist organizations by breaking the obnoxious nexus. Next, ensuring that combat operations do not involve any collateral damage. Next, de-radicalization, scientific principle driven counseling of youth, and building an international consensus to neutralize state-sponsored terrorism in specific. And developmental measures, sir, political power devolution. Next, quick grievance redressal, proactive public service delivery, development of social infrastructure and public infrastructure, employment generation, and making the terrorism affected areas, the people in terrorism affected areas as partners in governance, and also financial inclusion. Next,
wait, 1 minute. Hold on. What do you mean by terrorism affected areas? Are there anything called terrorism affected areas?
So terrorism affected areas, as in from where the youth are being radicalized. For example, Kashmir, and other southern Kerala, and few districts in Assam, where the concentration of these radicalized camps is observed more. In the terrorism affected areas, I mean those areas, sir. Maybe I should have used a different word, but so by those areas I mean that, sir.
So here,
sir, yeah,
go on, tell me.
Yes, sir. And next dimension we must address is the sources of funding, which is drug mafia, hawala rackets, vested interest business groups, few external state-sponsored terrorism. These are the sources of funding. And conclusion would be the need of the hour is multi-pronged approach. with effective interoperability among various agencies and strong political will to develop to deepen the benefits of development.
Okay, anyone wants to add or remove anything from the Sumant's answer?
Yes, sir,
We
more or
have-
less I was done. My network just got disconnected.
Today we have enough time because we have only 3 questions and all the 3 questions are similar in nature. So we can have more interactive session. So Sumant has given certain answer. Anyone wants to add or remove something from his answer? Any part of his answer is slightly not relevant to the question or anything which you want to add to his answer? Anyone? Sriram?
Sir,
Yeah. You listen, Sumant?
yeah, sir.
Yeah, you tell me what is
Yes,
your
sir.
answer for this?
Sir, we can rather than going at a very this scale, we can go in a world and give some examples like Syria, Iraq, and also Afghanistan, like where there is always a not proper governance systems or unstable government leading to terrorist groups for encouragement, sir. Like ISIS in Syria and all. Even state-sponsored terrorism, example like Pakistan or, sir, can we write the example of US funding ISIS, sorry, Taliban?
Are there any proofs for that?
Then what we can then also we cannot write that Pakistan is funding ISIS, Al Qaeda or all groups.
We can write state-sponsored terrorism. That we can write.
Yeah, sir. State-sponsored terrorism is like a generic word, no, sir. Example will make more sense.
If you want to write, you can write the example of Pakistan.
That's what, okay, sir.
Only
That's what my
Pakistan.
doubt is. Yeah, sir. That's what, because Pakistan also we don't have standard proofs, right? Other than Pakistan is present in grey list. Even Iran, I think Iran is also on the grey list. Can we?
Yeah, see, actually, here the one part of the question is about the challenge to the national security. Okay, but Sumant,
yeah,
you have answered it in a very detailed way, assuming that terrorism is the problem similar to Naxalism. Okay, your answer, terrorism, Naxalism, militancy and insurgency, all these are different. Terrorism is a global issue. Naxalism is a purely local issue. Insurgency is an issue between 1 or 2 nations. Militancy is an induced issue. Are you able to appreciate the difference between these terminologies?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you have to mitigate the poverty mitigation should be at the global level. Okay, because terrorism is not having its roots in India. Like say Naxalism, there is a red corridor, but there is nothing called terrorist impacted state or country because the terrorists are recruiting through dark web throughout the country. Only that we are able to hear or know that there are certain vulnerable states. Are you clear, Suman? There are certain vulnerable states which you have taken example like Kashmir, Kerala or some states. These are vulnerable states because the youth in these states are being radicalized through dark web and being recruited by the terrorist organizations. So the counter radicalization should happen in these vulnerable states. that you can write. Okay. And then terrorism, how it is creating a national security issue to India, you can write, because it is taking away precious lives, creating and destroying a lot of prominent national property, diverting the energies of youth. All these, and creating a impact on nation's reputation, economy. All these are the counterproductive things because of the terrorism. And then what are the solutions you write? Solutions are again same. At national level, yes, you write 1 or 2 points that the youth should be de-radicalized, the sensitization should happen, the education, moral education system. You should incorporate that moral values. Yes, Jitendra, we can write UN-backed comprehensive convention on international terrorism. That is one of the ways of curbing the terrorism menace, cutting down the funding, money laundering, all these shell companies, all these you can write. And other funding, they are in this ISIS is even selling petrol in the black market, where it got access to the crucial oil fields in the Syria region. They are even selling the petrol. So all these are major issues. And then how to cut the sources of terrorist funding, you should write. And then conclude by saying the same thing. You can conclude by saying the need of the hour is the UN-backed comprehensive convention on international terrorism, where all the stakeholders, especially the United Nations, should bring all the countries on a table and then settle this issue once and for all. In this process, you can write examples which are quite evident. State-sponsored terrorism. We write example Pakistan, that's all. Pakistan is sponsoring which terrorist group, we don't know. Write the example. But when you're writing about big countries like USA, and you don't write on here and say. Okay. Because Pakistan's state-sponsored terrorism, why we are writing? Because even organizations like FATF has clearly warned Pakistan not to support terrorist groups. So there is a concrete statement made in the international forums. Yeah, you can write about the software, cyber terrorism also. You can say the terrorism is taking new shapes in the form of cyber terrorism. And also you can say that the way forward is the digital terrorism or the cyber terrorism. So we have to be prepared. The conventions also should be including the cyber terrorism part. And then conclude. Clear? Navya, you have written only the first question. Okay, first question was good, Navya. Who is this Kedarnath? Kedarnath, you also written first question only. Why is that everyone has written first question only? Anyone whose answer sheet was not evaluated and written other questions? Second question you have written, Rajni. Good. Sources of terrorist funding are good. Solution. Good answer, Rajni. You have covered almost all the points. Okay. Then maybe you can conclude that the need of the hour is to bring the international organizations, through international organizations, all the nations should come together and address this global issue. Clear?
Yes, sir.
See the 34th and the last question for today. Hot pursuit and surgical strikes are often used in connection with armed action. Discuss the strategic impact of such actions. So you have to give the positive aspects and negative aspects, as simple as that. Look at that, this question.